actually agree with the sovereignty of nations, and if they have laws, I'm not going to violate them.
Oh, I see. I see the point that you're making. Okay, so when things are legal, they're just.
No.
Okay. So then, what is your point?
Your argument is that foreigners should come here.
So one of your values is you should respect the sovereignty of other nations.
Yo, what is good, family? Welcome back to the channel. So this one is a ride. Tim Pool sits down with Adam Conover, the comedian behind Adam Ruins Everything, and what starts as a conversation about deportation cases and free speech turns into one of the most satisfying intellectual traps I have ever seen unfold in real time. Tim spends the entire segment building a case about national sovereignty and visa conditions, and Adam keeps pushing back, until he accidentally says the one thing that proves Tim's entire argument for him. Trust me, you are going to want to stay for the ending on this one, because the payoff is chef's kiss. Also drop a comment and let me know where you are tuning in from today. I love seeing how far this community reaches. It genuinely makes my day every single time. Alright, let us get right into it.
I mean, I think she cares. I think her family cares. I think the people of her university care. I think
change the law, man. This is a marginal issue for a single person who was in violation of the INA as it's enforced by a government that was elected by a popular majority, or I should say by a plurality, but the popular vote. So let me pull this up because this is what we were talking about earlier. This is RCP from April 22nd. Every age bracket, to be fair, 40-49 is a tie, but Real Clear Politics aggregate shows from all of the latest polls, 70 plus is the only age group that is a negative view of Trump's job.
Okay. I'm just trying to...
This is a popular majority.
I'm just trying to make sense of your position around free speech, because you agree with me about all the past things in America that you're talking about. Kent State, you're talking about George Carlin and all these other things, and these were bad abrogations of free speech.
Indeed, deportation is not a murder. You're going home. I'm giving you a ride home.
But
if you came to my house, I let you in the door. I said, you can hang out tonight. And you started shit talking my brother. I say, bro, I'm going to give you a ride home. I don't think you should be here. That's not an affront to someone's sovereignty or free speech. It's like the worst thing that happened to you is I gave you a ride home. Oh, I'm going to cry. She's going home. What's the problem? Home's nice. She was here conditionally. We said, hey, we kind of think you're being a dick. We're going to give you a ride home. That's it.
I mean... When I get a ride home,
Kent State,
6 guys don't normally shove me into a van, and then my family doesn't know where I am. That's
you know. How about you're at a bar and you're acting out in some way, and they say, "Listen, buddy,
do you feel
security throws you out of the bar?"
Do you feel this woman was acting out? Do you think she was acting inappropriately? Do you think that she was acting?
I've already told you I did not.
Okay, so then how are you justifying what happened?
I don't think you can
legally narrow that it can happen. Therefore, it's good.
I don't think you know how to separate. I just don't think you know how to comprehend the separation between I have no issue with a woman making her argument. I think it was absurd to claim she's adhering to Hamas because she's critical of Israel. But her visa is conditional, and it is the authority of these United States and the Secretary of State to revoke that. So it's okay. Right? Trump won the popular vote.
What? But
this is the agenda.
Man. Sorry, man. This is the hump that I can't get over.
Clearly.
You don't have any problem with what she actually did, right? But Trump and Rubio had the narrow legal ability to do it.
You're not following.
Do you agree with their decision to do it?
I think there is a net negative, to a degree, that foreigners come to this country to dictate our politics. Be it Canadian,
I'm sorry,
British,
dictate our politics, or just give their opinion in the newspaper that's dictating?
I'll talk on the language. To come here and advocate for policies of the American people.
So you feel that foreign nationals of all kinds, when they're in the United States, should never speak about our politics ever, upon pain of legal punishment. That is a position that you have about America generally.
Did they agree to it? When they applied for the visa under the INA, did they agree to those terms?
I don't know.
The answer is yes, they did. It clearly states when you're coming here on a condition, you can't do certain things. It literally says you won't protest. And we still would allow them to hold a sign up or something. But maybe if they didn't,
but apparently we don't allow them to hold a sign up.
And I don't care.
This is where the conversation gets really interesting, because you can see the frustration building on one side and the clarity building on the other. Adam keeps pushing this emotional angle about how she cares and her family cares and the university cares. And look, nobody is saying that deportation is a fun experience for anyone involved. But that is not the argument. The argument is whether the government has the legal authority to enforce the conditions of a visa that someone voluntarily agreed to. And Tim nails it with one of the best analogies I have heard on this topic. He says, if you came to my house and I let you in and you started disrespecting my family, I would give you a ride home. That is not oppression. That is boundaries. And honestly, that is how most people think about this. If you are a guest somewhere, you follow the rules of the house. It does not matter if you think the rules are stupid. It does not matter if you think you should be allowed to say whatever you want. You agreed to the terms when you walked through the door. And what is fascinating here is Adam keeps asking, do you think she was acting inappropriately? Do you think she was acting out, trying to get Tim to say yes so he can frame it as some kind of moral judgment? But Tim refuses to take the bait. He separates the moral question from the legal one perfectly. He says, I have no issue with her making her argument. I think it is absurd to claim she is adhering to a terrorist organization because she criticized a foreign policy. But her visa is conditional, and it is the authority of the Secretary of State to revoke it. That distinction right there is what the other side cannot seem to grasp. You can simultaneously think someone did not do anything morally wrong and acknowledge that they violated the terms of an agreement they signed. Those two things can coexist. The inability to hold both ideas at once is exactly why this debate keeps going in circles on the left.
I'm not asking about what they agreed to. I'm not asking about the legal justification.
Don't agree to things you don't want to hear.
Do you, Tim Pool, believe that as a moral issue, as a practical issue? Do you think that America should be a country in which every foreign national in the country should feel that they should never speak about American politics under pain of legal punishment?
No.
You don't think that that's, you don't agree with that?
You presented me an absolute, right? You gave me the extreme end.
Okay, so Rumesa Ozturk, I think, is a really illustrative example because it was such a mild
understand
version.
That they've made an agreement upon entering this country that if they are in violation of the terms of their visa, it may be revoked. If they come here with the intent of advocating against U.S. foreign policy, that is a consequence. Speech has consequences. I think we're getting hung up on the issue that I've clearly answered, and I understand maybe you don't understand, but we can try.
I think I've pinned you down well enough that like you just like really have a much smaller view of free speech than I do, and I think a lot of Americans do. I think it's a change to the American spirit. I think it makes the country smaller. It's a shittier country to live in. Is a country where people live in fear of what they say when they're here on a student.
They always have.
Yeah, and that's bad. It's bad to live in fear of saying shit.
This is not. You see, this is here's the issue. I suppose
your whole bullshit culture baiting thing about the Islam stuff in England. If what you say is true, and it may be, I don't know because I don't really I don't really follow that as you would do.
Never.
But I think it's bad. About that country.
You would never go to the UK and do those things.
If I were now, look, I don't know of the policies of which you speak, okay? But if I were to be in England and I were to make a joke on their stage and I were to be put into a van and removed from a country, I would say this is a bad thing about England, and I think that the country sucks, and I think that they should change it, and I don't think people should go there anymore, and that sucks for them and it sucks for us.
You wouldn't make a joke about Islam in the United States. You wouldn't.
Okay. Sure. What's that meant to prove?
That you don't actually believe in free speech. You fear the consequences.
Because I don't make a joke about the topic that you demand me to?
Because this topic in particular has resulted in people like a Charlie Hebdo getting murdered.
Yeah, that's bad. It's
and
bad that they were murdered.
South Park tried just showing Muhammad, and Comedy Central wouldn't let him do it.
Yeah, that's bad.
So let's see you stand up for that value and come out and make a joke about Islam.
I've stood up about free speech plenty of times. What are you talking about?
Take it to the next level, brother.
Okay.
How about we do this? You believe in free speech.
Dude, this is what you do when you've lost an argument, is that you just you're not even arguing to this.
And here's where it really starts to unravel for Adam, because he says something that reveals his entire hand. He says, I am not asking about what they agreed to. I am not asking about the legal justification. Think about what that means for a second. He is literally saying, I do not care about the law, and I do not care about the agreement this person made. I just want you to tell me it is morally wrong. That is not an argument. That is an appeal to emotion. And when emotion is your only tool, you have already lost the intellectual debate. Then Adam hits Tim with what he clearly thinks is his knockout punch. He goes, I think I have pinned you down well enough that you just have a much smaller view of free speech than I do. And you can tell he thinks he won the argument right there. But what actually happened is the opposite. Because Tim has been consistently saying there are conditions to entry, those conditions were agreed upon, and the government is enforcing those conditions. That is not a small view of free speech. That is an understanding of how sovereignty works in literally every country on the planet. You want to know what a small view of free speech looks like? Tim flips the entire conversation by bringing up comedy and Islam in the UK. And this is where Adam completely freezes. Because Tim points out that Adam would never make a joke about certain topics. Not because he does not have opinions, not because he does not think there is material there, but because there are real consequences. And Tim says it plainly, you do not actually believe in free speech, you fear the consequences. That line alone should make everyone watching really think about what free speech advocacy actually means when it is selective. Because if you only defend speech that is safe and comfortable, you are not defending free speech at all. You are defending approved speech. And there is a massive difference between the two.
Just
You brought
jump
it up.
to this? What? What'd you say?
You brought it up.
What did I? Oh, the Islam piece of it. Yeah, no.
And now I'm continuing the conversation, and you're derailing into you must have lost the argument.
No, because
Brother, let's stand up for South Park, for Matt Stone and Trey
Yeah,
Parker.
I stand up for them.
So go on stage and show a big picture of Muhammad.
I'm sorry. What the thing that you're doing?
Stand up for free speech, brother. Do it.
So
I'll do it with you.
So you're demanding me to go on stage and
Prove
do
you
something
care about free
specific,
speech. Prove
and
you care
unless
about
I
free-
do, I'm a coward.
I'm saying prove
This is a bizarre rhetorical move. This is a bizarre rhetorical move.
I didn't call you a coward. I said prove you care about free speech.
Yeah, I prove
do something that creates real risk to your person for free speech.
Yeah, I speak about shit all the time, dude. I'm happy to live in America where the things I say don't create real risk to my person. In fact, if I were to say the things that you're saying, I would not be creating real risk to my person.
You don't think so?
I do not think so.
Then why not just do it? Prove me wrong.
Because I don't have anything in particular to say about those topics.
Just put a picture of Muhammad up and say praise be. Prove I'm wrong.
I'm really glad we got here again because it's just very fun to sit in how weird this part of the conversation is.
Remember Charlie Hebdo?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, what happened?
Yeah, a bunch of people were shot because they
Showed a picture of Muhammad.
Yeah, that's bad.
You think if you did that, they might want to shoot you too?
Yeah, maybe.
So you shouldn't do it.
I mean, I don't have it. Well, the particular images that they showed, I didn't think were like very funny. Like it was their right to
wouldn't
do
let
it.
South Park
but-
do it either. They censored the whole thing.
Yeah,
and
that's
bleeped it out
bad.
like
Yeah, that's bad, and I think that's contrary to American values.
Why won't the free speech people who believe we should live in this country stand up against that?
I'm sorry. I'm not standing up for free speech unless I do what exactly?
I didn't say the only way for you to stand up for free speech is to do something. I said, why won't people who are claiming...
You called me a hypocrite, and I don't understand what's hypocritical about me only doing jokes about the topics that I'm interested in.
That you would not go to the UK and speak in violation of their speech laws.
I mean, I went there. I made fun of their government. I talked about, the fire at Heathrow because that impacted my travel when I was there. I talked about, yeah.
So you can make fun of white people, but you can't make fun of non-white people. You go to jail for that.
Okay, yeah, I think that would, if it's as you say, that sounds like if it applied to me as a comedian,
I would not.
I think it would say that's a bad law.
I would not go to Turkey and speak out against Islam, and I would not go to the UK and violate their speech laws.
Oh, okay. So are you a coward? What's your point?
No, I actually agree with the sovereignty of nations, and if they have laws, I'm not going to violate them.
Oh, I see. I see the point that you're making. Okay. So when things are legal, they're just.
No.
Okay. So then what is your point?
Your argument is that foreigners should come here.
So one of your values is you should respect the sovereignty of other nations, but.
Oh, this is the moment right here. This is where the entire debate reaches its conclusion, and it is absolutely beautiful to watch. Because Tim says something so simple and so direct. He says, I did not call you a coward. I said, prove you care about free speech. Do something that creates real risk to your person for free speech. And Adam cannot answer it. He keeps deflecting. He keeps saying, I speak about things all the time, but that is the whole point. Speaking about comfortable things in a country where you face zero risk is not proof that you believe in free speech. It is proof that you enjoy talking. And then comes the Charlie Hebdo moment, and this is where Adam walks straight into the trap without even realizing it. Tim asks him if he thinks the same thing could happen to him, and Adam says, yeah, maybe. So Tim asks why not just do it then, and Adam cannot. And look, nobody rational is saying Adam should put his life at risk to prove a point. That would be insane. But the reason this exchange matters is because it reveals something fundamental about the free speech debate. Adam spent the entire conversation arguing that America should be a place where anyone can say anything without consequences. But when faced with a situation where speech actually carries real-world risk, he backs down. And here's where the history lesson actually applies perfectly. Back in the 1960s, during the Civil Rights Movement, people actually put their bodies on the line for free speech. They sat at lunch counters knowing they would be beaten. They marched knowing they could be killed. That was real free speech conviction. And then comes the absolute knockout. Adam says, I would not go to Turkey and speak out against Islam, and I would not go to the UK and violate their speech laws. And Tim catches it immediately. Because Adam then says, I actually agree with the sovereignty of nations, and if they have laws, I am not going to violate them. That is the entire argument Tim has been making for the last 30 minutes. The sovereignty of a nation to enforce its laws on guests within its borders. Adam just conceded the whole debate in one sentence without even realizing what he said. Tim spent this entire segment building the case brick by brick, and Adam handed him the final brick himself. That is what happens when your position is built on emotion instead of principle. Eventually, the logic catches up, and you end up agreeing with the person you have been arguing against. So what do you guys think of this? Leave your thoughts down in the comments, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.